squadron who decided not to follow the orders and to reroute themselves towards Malta and ask for protection over here. They have been interrogated for quite some time. Verifications, however, are still underway to determine the real identity of these two men who claim to be senior officers in the rank of colonels in the Air Force in Libya, but they have confirmed that they belong to the Oknabri-Nafe air base just outside of Tripoli. Their platoon, or their squadron, was actually flown out from Tripoli. They landed in Benghazi this morning and then ordered to go and bombard. They decided to abandon the operation whilst they were at only 500 feet from the ground, so they were seeing the crowds quite clearly. What I can say also is that during their interrogation, these two men have apparently supplied authorities with classified information with regards to the activities by the Libyan military at this point in time.
Castagne Navarra there with the latest on those Libyan military jets that landed in Malta. Meanwhile, here in London, we've seen more anti-Gaddafi demonstrations. Hundreds of demonstrators gathered outside the Libyan embassy in the centre of the capital. Police had been keeping the protesters across the road from the diplomatic post, but dozens of them crossed that road anyway, and they staged a noisy demonstration directly in front of the building. One man was even able to climb onto the balcony and remove the Libyan flag. Well, AlJazeera's Tim Friend is outside the Libyan embassy in central London for us now. Tim, tell us what's going on right now.
Well, the story is developing by the second. A few moments ago, literally, some embassy staff came out on the balcony behind me. I don't know whether you can see them in the dark, ripped down the Libyan independence flag, which the demonstrators have successfully put up, and are attempting, I think, to put back up the all-green flag of the Libyan government, of Gaddafi's government. Now, there are reports that earlier on some of the embassy staff here joined the anti-Gaddafi demonstrators outside in the street. We spoke to the ambassador here earlier, who said he was staying, he had work to do, but wouldn't discuss his allegiances, or whether he was staying loyal to Colonel Gaddafi, or whether he was indeed perhaps considering following some of his colleagues elsewhere in embassies in the world, where they've decided to quit in protest at the behaviour of the Libyan government. So those developments happening as we speak. I'm joined now by a Libyan living in London, Marwan Gariani. You've managed to contact your family, I think. You've got family in Tripoli and Benghazi. What are they telling you?
Well, my relatives in Benghazi basically are talking about massacres, pitched battles with mercenaries, black African mercenaries, and people who are loyal to the regime, these sort of revolutionary guards and people of that sort. And I've also spoken with my relatives in Tripoli, and last night lots of people were trying to head towards the Green Square, thinking that the Green Square was liberated, but they were shot at by militias that are hiding there, and they killed a lot of them. Actually, the person that I spoke to, while I was speaking to him, the person beside him was shot through the head.
These are very graphic reports, obviously. Do your relatives sense that this is indeed the end of Colonel Gaddafi's government?
Well, I think that it is, and they do, because I don't think there's any going back to, what kind of punishment would someone like this give to the Libyan people after what has happened now? So there's no turning back, and people are speaking freely on the telephone. In the beginning they were reserved, but now they're just saying whatever they want to say.
Well, you can probably understand better than me what's been going on here behind us. Presumably this is the case that some loyal staff are chanting back at the demonstrators, are they?
Yeah, there's people who are still sort of living in their own bubble, thinking that the world hasn't changed around them, and we're just basically playing a waiting game. And hopefully, we'll be able to put back the independence flag and get rid of this rag that's up there.
Did you ever think this moment would arrive? Did you think that we would see these events unfolding in Libya?
Well, the way it always worked was that there was always the government was always sending out different opinions, so people were never in agreement. So there was always someone for or against, but this time the people are all united.
Marwan, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us this evening. Well, there you have it, some events unfolding here in London as well, and I'm sure there will be more demonstrations that come in the days ahead.
Indeed, and we will be covering them. Tim Friend with the latest from outside the Libyan embassy in London. Thank you for that. And for the latest developments now on the story, more reaction from around the world, let's go back to Kamal in Doha.
Thanks for that, Barbara. Some of the latest pictures we've gotten through. How about you roll those down and have a look? These are coming from Tripoli, is that correct? Just checking. Tripoli, this is. We've been getting a mixture of pictures from Tripoli and Benghazi today, but look at the number of people out on the streets there in Tripoli. Reminiscent of what we saw a couple of weeks ago in Egypt, a people's revolution or a people's uprising out on the street in their thousands, protesting against the Libyan regime. On the phone now is the Qatari Prime Minister, His Excellency Sheikh Hamad bin Jassim Al Thani. Thank you for your time, sir. You have been one of the few nations, it seems, to come out so far and condemn the use of live ammunition. What is the Qatari's official standpoint?
Well, first of all, I feel a big sympathy for the Libyan people. We don't accept using the force in this way or any way against the people or against any nation from their governments. And we make our declaration in this basis. We think that the international community should also take a stand against what's happening in Libya at the moment.
When you say take a stand, what do you mean? Because there is a lot of condemnation. We've heard it from the EU foreign ministers today, British Foreign Minister William Hague. Condemnation only takes you so far, though.
Well, I think Security Council have to play a role. And also we have the condemnation is not enough because we see the international community taking serious action against less problem than this problem at the moment in Libya. So we are caught by surprise that they should take an action, especially the Security Council.
So you think, okay, so action at the Security Council would mean a resolution and a vote. Would you see actually getting UN people on the ground? One of my guests earlier talked about getting UN peacekeepers into Libya.
Well, I think this is the Security Council have to decide, but I think the 5 permanent member and the others, they should take the responsibilities and do something to help the civilian people in Libya, because what happened is not accepted by any way or any reason.
You spoke to the Arab League Secretary General Amr Moussa, I believe. What did you tell him?
Well, I told him the same. You know, we are in Qatar, feel that the Arab League has to take something. I'm glad that there will be a meeting tomorrow held in Egypt for that reason. And that also will be part of the pressure in the Libyan governments that they have to stop using ammunitions and guns and